This is another day with PE Slick Podcast slash Soaps Past. I am thrilled to have you guys back on. I know I haven't really had a show on throughout this year. Happy New Year to you guys. I hope things are good. I hope the guys not snowing where you at because they're calling for snow. But today is going to be fun. This is also my last show for right now. I'm going to start a new one next month, but I'll get into that later. Did you know that if you take a big company in a big town called Springfield, where you have the big man, his sister, and they go neck and neck, followed by the next generation, where the eldest son, the middle brother, the cousin, and the other brother sister, who ended up being the aunt, you put them all together and they call us whole back in town. You know what you got? The Spauldings. And I am thrilled to have them all on with me today. I got a couple of surprises on with us today. And I got to tell you, one of them actually made me a deal. They said, if I join Spaulding Enterprises on a big profit deal right now, other than Lewis Oil or the Ewing Oil, I'm going to be set. So, one of them told me that. I'm not going to say who. But anyway, let's get them all on right now. I got a big group of folks on today. This is my first big live show because I normally do one-on-one shows, and I'm thrilled to have them all on. So here we go. Here's the first guest. Hey, Grant.
How's it going, Matt?
How's it going? How you doing?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, man. Thanks for coming on board to do this with me.
Sure.
Let me get another one of your favorite co-stars on. Somehow you probably haven't seen in a while. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Matt.
Toby.
Hi,
Wow. Hey, Toby, how are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see both of you. Hi.
It's good to see you. Toby, where are you? In LA? Is that where you are?
No, I was living in LA, but now I'm in Arizona, and we're traveling around with our one kid who's left at home in an RV during the pandemic, and kind of loving life.
Sounds good. Arizona sounds a lot better than where I am.
Here's another guest. Hey, Ron.
Ronnie.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Toby.
Hey, big man.
Hi, Ron.
Hey, Grant.
How's it going, buddy?
Great. So good to see you guys' face.
You too.
Vincent Arizona in the house.
Hey, everybody.
And Vince.
Hey, guys. Hey, Ronnie. Good to see you, brother. Sending kisses to you.
Yeah,
So I guess, am I the only one on the West Coast?
I'm almost on the West Coast.
You're in Arizona, but you guys, Ron, are you
You're
in
close.
New York? Ron, are you in New York?
Yes, but at the moment, I'm in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Oh, right. In New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, just in case we have some, we might need a lawyer on bounds. So I got somebody else who's going to join us right now. Let me see if I can get him on board. Oh, man. There we go.
God, Toby, I haven't
see if I
seen
can
you.
get him on board. When was the last time you all seen each other?
Grant, you're in Virginia, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Still down here in Virginia.
Yeah.
Riding out this dark cloud.
Oh, there he is.
Toby's got back.
There he is.
He's got center there.
Where we're going in the house.
Oh, hi.
Hello,
I'm in an
Bear,
RV.
Bear.
Hi. I was in hair and makeup. Sorry, I'm late.
What else is new? No.
Go away, dog.
Oh, man. Listen, guys, I am so thrilled to have you all on board. I've been a fan of this show for so many years, and I had to get you all on board on this one.
Thank you.
Thanks. Ron was right.
Rick Hurst and Carl Evans couldn't be a part of this today, but they say hello.
Yeah. Can you enlarge up the pictures a little bit, because again, that's a little better.
Hold on
That's
one
a little
second.
better.
Cool.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So, guys, I'm glad that you all. Okay. I'm glad you all was able to do this. I don't know if y'all heard me. Rick Hurst and Carl Evans, who was Alan Michael, they couldn't be a part of this today, but they say hello. Man, what is everybody doing right now? Is this snowing where any of y'all are right now? Because they calling for snow.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. I'm in northern New Jersey. I guess we're gonna get it starting
It's
tomorrow night.
always 70 degrees and sunshine in Sparta, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Sure.
it's only at the diner.
It snowed in Malibu the other day.
Man,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was strange. It was bizarre. In the middle of the
It's
day.
the end of the world.
Yeah.
There was a snowstorm here I'm in Sedona, Arizona, a crazy snowstorm, and now it's raining pretty hard in the desert, which
Oh,
is.
Sedona's gorgeous. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
But Grant, to answer, normally now I don't live on the West Coast. I live upstate New York now in the Catskills
Oh, okay. Cool.
when I'm not roaming.
Great.
Toby and I actually went to the same
This
high
is really
school
great, guys.
in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that vaguely.
Isn't that wild? I always heard about Grant Alexander and you were iconic at the school, and then it was
Oh, yeah, he still is.
amazing.
Yeah. You can't even tell the stories that they told you. Tried to kick me out about 5 times.
Yeah.
Good to see Jerry, too. Oh, God.
wow.
Buddies. Oh, my buddies.
I got to put my
Where are
glasses
you
on
now,
to
Ron?
see some of you guys. Here you go.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Where are you?
I'm in Asbury Park, New Jersey, the great state of New Jersey where Sparta is.
Are you there on purpose, or?
I'm hiding from the law. Now, we have a place down here that we escape to on occasion.
You're stalking the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get Rick Hurst. He couldn't come, right? He's probably got 2 or 3 auditions today.
No, not today.
And who else did you try to get?
He couldn't come out. Grant worked with him in the early years. He was the first.
Yeah.
Alan Michael.
Yeah.
Carl.
Yeah, I don't think I knew him.
I didn't either. I didn't know him either. Yeah, that wasn't the Alan Michael I worked with.
I think Jerry actually introduced Carl on the show at the 4th of July barbecue coming in on a parachute, didn't you, Jerry?
Yeah.
Another high moment.
He was always saying something about hazard pay and, a little something extra in his check. Well, I said, be careful or else that parachute become a golden parachute. You'll be out here. That was when Locke was at his best.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Wow.
Yeah, Locke.
He was dressed in, as part of the performance, like all those parties we had, and Locke was milling around in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
Laughing that laugh of his and then poking you to cue you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd be walking around going like, mumble, 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 mumble.
Hubbub.
Like, hubbub.
Hubbub.
Yeah, hubbub.
Reva, red dress.
You hear him on the show with somebody's in the background going, hubbub.
Yeah. It used to drive me crazy in court scenes when he'd be doing that. He'd be off stage as the stage manager, and he'd start up. I guess he got told in his earphone to, we need some more hubbub. So he'd go hubbub, 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 hubbub. It was
funny, man. Yeah, he was a trip.
Good times.
Loved Locke. Yeah.
Who here started the first? chronologically, who was it? Jerry, were you?
Yeah.
Jerry.
And
Jerry's on the original 1937 broadcast.
Yes, the radio.
No, I think I was springtime of 1979.
1979.
Yeah.
Yeah, March of 79.
Oh.
I started in 82, December of 82.
I started in November of 83.
I was, I think, July of 94.
Oh, so
I
okay.
came in singing, "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning."
And it was. I think I was
wearing a
95.
hat like
And I
yours,
was born
Matt. Cowboy.
in July of 1995. Matt Dillon, Gunsmoke, you know.
You're right.
Yeah, this was kind of like the signature here of my podcast. You know, the lady I went to church with started calling me Ranger Matt, so this kind of became my signature. So you know, I wanted to get on my horse and sail into the Spaulding board meeting. You know?
Did I read today that it's like the 85th or 87th anniversary of Guiding Light? Is that today? I read it.
Jerry,
on
you're the
Instagram.
historian.
What?
No, it was 2 days ago.
2 days ago? Was it
Yeah.
85th or 87th?
Oh,
85th.
wow.
85th. Wow.
Yeah. It was a cloudy day, I remember.
Yeah.
It was, I had trouble getting a cab to go to the radio studios.
It all began in a 5,000-watt radio station in Fresno, California. Thanks, Ted Knight.
Now, Toby,
Yes.
I want to ask you, how many children do you have now?
2.
2. That's great. And how old are they?
22 and 17.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 22 and 17.
So when did you leave the show?
98. And you want to know a funny story? I don't know, maybe some of you knew.
Wow.
I found out I was pregnant, and I told Kim Zimmer and Liz Kiefer, and the next day they let me go.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you gotta watch what you tell those
It had
girls.
nothing to do with them, I'm sure. But it was funny. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
98, I left the show.
That's usually when they drop the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened to me when I was pregnant. I know.
Yeah, and what was the standard thing was when you would go into the executive producer and you say, "I'm thinking about buying a house. Am I secure?" And then
Elvira
executive
Rousseau.
producer, absolutely, go for it. And then you get fired. You go for it, and you get fired.
Jeez.
It's
Yeah.
a love fest down there, those executive wings.
Ron, did you ever see my memorial door? Speaking of getting fired, on 26th Street.
No.
No, you weren't.
Every time somebody got fired, I would take the nameplate off their door,
Right.
and I would put it on my door,
That's true.
and it got to be such an exit that I was taking off a nameplate almost weekly. And my name was here, and it went all the way down the door, and then I ran out of room, so I went underneath, and it came on the inside of my dressing room, and I kept going up. And I remember
Gail did not find that humorous.
Yeah. I remember.
she said, "Isn't that somewhat disrespectful?" And I said, "No more than you firing them." And I'm surprised that I made it through that conversation.
I remember Gail also used to give everybody, when they left the show, a framed picture of a John Barrymore stamp. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. And I forgot what's his name, Tom, who played Floyd. I remember he took it out, and it was always wrapped too. You knew it was in there. It was like it was gift wrapped. And I remember he opened it up and ripped it off, part of it, half of it, and threw it right in the garbage. It was like, oh, screw this.
Yeah, Tom
I think
Nielsen.
somebody actually used it to. somebody use it to send her send her a basic,
Yeah, I remember. That's right. Somebody did do that. You're right.
Yeah,
that was
great.
The P&G Christmas boxes. You remember those freaking Christmas boxes? Now every year, other shows. This is when soaps were in their heyday, and all other shows were getting really nice gifts for Christmas. Procter & Gamble would give us a care package every year, a box with like sample sizes of all their products, like Tide and Scope, all this stuff. Every year, that's what we got. And one year, I remember this was in the '90s when we were at the other studio on 44th Street. Everybody brought them back in. There was literally an office filled with boxes of them. Okay, because everybody was like, "The hell with this! We don't want these anymore." We gave it back to them. The next year, they gave them back to us again. It was like we were hoping to send a message. I think everybody was hoping to send a message. It was about 40.
I remember around that time, Michael Knight, who was working on All My Children, I ran into him, and somehow that came up. So what did P&G give you guys? And I told him, I said, well, we got our box of soap, and well, how about you guys? They got color TVs that year.
Yeah, I know. We were getting Procter & Gamble was so cheap, man. It was crazy.
Remember High Brown?
Yeah, but we got Crisco
in the old studio. Yeah, we did.
We got what? What was it?
We got Crisco. That was always on.
Oh yeah, it's the Crisco. Sure. Yeah.
Nothing says Merry Christmas like a can of Crisco.
I always gave that box to my grandparents. I always gave it to them. I was like, here, you use them. Yeah.
I think Chris Bernot turned it down one year. I think that's how all that started.
That's pretty funny. I know.
But one good thing, though, is that when you did announce to them that you were expecting a child in your family, you would get a huge box of diapers. We always like that. But the Christmas box, that's not.
That's funny.
So
Jerry,
now,
are you near Kim?
Wow.
New Jersey?
I'm just enjoying this.
Yeah, I think I am.
So, Matt, do you have any questions you want to ask us? Anybody that's from the show?
I was enjoying the stories, So I was like, this is a Spaulding reunion. Y'all got the floor, so.
Well, I wish the Spaulding Dames were with us.
This is the question.
No kidding.
Because they really set fire to the Spaulding storyline when they came on the show.
Yeah.
Marge, they want to have a reunion. A kind of a memorial celebration for Marge whenever we get to the other side of this thing we're in. Her daughter does, Deb, and of course she passed away right at the beginning of it. It was kind of impossible to get everybody together, but Marge, what
I don't know if any of you have this in your memory bank, but as elegant as both of those ladies were, both of those ladies just reveled in the fact that they could tell a real good off-color joke.
Yes, this is very true. Very true.
And they did, particularly Beverly. She would.
And I would love her.
She was
laugh
pushed on
afterwards.
though by.
Yeah.
Yes.
I loved her.
Warren
laugh.
Burton used to force her to tell dirty jokes.
Yeah. I remember Warren also was wonderful. I loved Warren. He was a sweetheart.
Wow.
Warren brought my last day on the show when I went as Lou Jack. We had our hospital scenes, and I think I was in a coma or something. And Warren brought in some tequila and margarita mix, and we all had margaritas in his dressing room before I was shooting my last scene. And that was fun. We had a good time. It was crazy. I didn't have to do anything except lie there, so I was perfectly fine with it. And
Warren was
just had to cry over me in Beverly. They were able to pull that off with the little margarita as well. So we were good. It was fun. It's great. I'll tell you something about Marge. it was very interesting because I hadn't spoken to her in a while, and I was hearing that she wasn't doing well. And it was about a year ago in September. I was in New York, and I was in an Uber going to the airport, and she just came to my mind again. And I called her while I was on the way to the airport and spoke to her for at least a good 20 minutes. And I was really happy I did that because you just never know, when it might be the last time you speak to somebody, and then it was like 5 months later, 6 months later, she was gone. Mm-hmm. And I was grateful at least that I reached out to her just to check in with her, see how she was doing. And she was struggling. But
what was amazing to me about Marge and Justin has said something really wonderful concerning this. She was in an incredible amount of pain, physical pain for years, and never said anything about it. You would see her over there stretching, doing some kind of something to stretch something or move something, but she never let on. She never let on. And what the pain that the operations and procedures she went through and never said a word. And I always admired her so much for that. And
she also, I don't know, but some of you may remember this. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but her son passed away in the 90s with AIDS. Yeah, and that was I remember they wanted to give her more time off, and she really didn't want it. She wanted to be able to work just to keep her mind active.
Yeah.
And she was an extraordinary person, and I got to play opposite twice with her on 2 shows. She was my mother on 2 shows. I mean, that's crazy. But I remember when they auditioned her for All My Children, I went down to Judy Wilson when I knew they were auditioning for my mother. And I would always do this whenever they were bringing on a character that was going to be opposite me, to find out who they're auditioning, find out how their audition was. And testing. Even Judy would even let me look at the tests of the people that were on there. She did that with Josh Duhamel, and I saw him, and I was like, that's definitely the guy to play my brother. But when Marge came on the show, before she came on the show, when she auditioned, she told me, she goes, "Oh, Marge Doucet came in. She was fantastic to play your mother, Vanessa." And I was like, "Oh, I love Marge. She was my mother on Guiding Light." And she was like, "Oh, I don't know if they're going to want that if she was your mother on another show." And I said, "What does it matter? We're all like one big repertory company here, in daytime." And I said, "And if she's the right person for the role, absolutely give her the role. I would love to have her play opposite. I would play opposite her again and to work with her. She's freaking amazing." And they did. They brought her on, and she was absolutely amazing, as she always was. It was very special to have that opportunity to play with her more than once.
Yeah, Marge just had such she had a quality that really made it a pleasure to be on the set with her. Apart from being a wonderful actress and hilarious, she just had a calming presence with always a little bit of impishness. I mean, there was always that there was always that little smile getting ready to curl up on her lips, but she was one of those people that you never saw any of the temperamental stuff that is so associated with most actors from time to time. I mean, you just never see it with her. She was just always, once she on the floor or off the floor, I never saw it backstage either, but certainly on the floor, she just always made it a pleasure to do to be working with her.
Yeah, that's true.
I used to love to when I would do scenes with her, and she would have, a long monologue-ish kind of thing, and she'd get in the middle of that thing, and I'd be listening, and I'd say, "How the hell is she going to get out of this?" Because she'd start rumbling around and and then all of a sudden, I would be watching her try to get out of it, and she would always get out of it, and then it would be my line, and I forgot what my line was. Because I'm watching her.
It's so true, and in a way, it made it really exciting when you were live with her, because you really had to listen and just be in the moment. She taught me so much about how to be an actor on and off camera. She just was all class and poise, zero ego, and what a pleasure to work with.
Yeah.
And what a babe. I don't know if people in the audience, particularly younger ones, have seen any of Marge's older stuff, like her, movies with Elvis and some of the TV spots she did when she was young. I mean, Marge was a beautiful older lady, beautiful older woman. She was just stop traffic gorgeous when she was young.
Yeah.
I remember when Grant called me one time or texted me or something. He said, "Hey, I just saw Marge on Gunsmoke. She was fabulous and she looked great."
And she was on one of my favorite episodes on The Odd Couple. She had a great episode on The Odd Couple with Klugman and Randall.
Wow.
Where she was an experimental theater actress, and they didn't know until they got down there that it was a nude play, and Tony Randall, Felix was dating her, and then they go to see the play, and all of a sudden it's come into the bathtub, and she was it was just, I used to love every time I see Marge, I say, "Come into the bathtub."
That's awesome. Awesome. She's also in
she had a story about Elvis too, didn't she? She dated Elvis or turned him down for a date, something like that. She had a great story about Elvis. I think that was it, and then I think she passed.
Yeah.
That date.
Wow, turning down Elvis. That's one for the book.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, one of my favorite sad memories is when you would bring those Hershey Kisses and you just kind of like slide them, slyly between takes. You always seem to have candy on you.
Oh, really?
Candyman can.
Oh, but I would give them out, right?
Hey, Ron, can I get some?
Yeah.
I like them.
It's so sweet. Literally.
But you never gave chocolate to Jordan.
One person you all worked with as well.
Go ahead, Matt.
To Jordan.
You had a question.
Okay. I'm sorry I cut you off there. Another person another person you all had worked with who's also gone as well was Michael Slaslow. Roger, memories to share about working with him as well?
Did you say Roger? Michael?
Yep.
I cut off. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll start.
Jerry obviously worked with him the longest. Jerry, was Michael on the show when you came on? Was he already on? I don't know that.
I was his attorney. That's how I got on the show. They had Roger Thorpe. Not many attorneys wanted to take his case, and so they got the new guy from out of town. I was this big New Yorker guy coming in, and the black sheep of the Marler family, and took his case on. And that was a very good storyline, as a matter of fact. I mean, it involved Maureen Garrett so much, and Zaz, and the whole idea of rape within a marriage was, just like a hot story. I mean, it was like very intense and very controversial too. They didn't want to do it at first, but Zaslow had a lot to do with talking them into doing that and going as far as they did with that story. And then it turned out to be very good. And those two were just terrific.
Yeah. Jerry, you started in '79, so that was really kind of right after the whole Luke and Laura storyline and the rape on that story. Would that be correct in that chronologically?
That's correct in the history, and that's not why GL did it, but it didn't hurt as a matter of a byproduct of that story.
Interesting.
But God's ass was so terrible and as a character, and he never wanted that to be. He was always like, I am not the villain. I do what I do, and I'm misunderstood. Yes.
Well, that was, and that
was some of Maureen Garrett's best work too, I thought.
was Yeah, she was fantastic. Yeah, she was fantastic. Always.
I didn't get to work with Michael too much, maybe a year or two there before he started getting sick. But I remember he and I bonded in a cab on the way home, talking about our daughters, and he knew that I did musical theater, and so he had accepted out at Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera Henry Higgins and My Fair Lady, and this was at the very beginning of his disease, and he was having trouble talking a little bit, and he was having trouble because he was scared learning lines. And Michael was incredible about lines. I mean, he was brilliant, but so he was really having trouble with those. And I remember him calling me, and I was at a friend's place up in off Cape Cod, and he was really like, "What can I do? What should I do? I'm having trouble. I'm having this." And to see Zaslow, because Michael Zaslow was a very, he did not like to be, he didn't show a lot of vulnerability. And he was very vulnerable, and he was scared. And it was interesting that I was calming him or trying to, and I just say, "You're going to be great," and all that kind of stuff that we do. But it was a very scary time for Michael.
Of course.
And it was for all of us, because we didn't know what was going on, and he didn't. And I think he, anyway, we get too dark here, but.
Well, I want to say this. When Michael was going through that with ALS, and I remember we did an ALS benefit first. It was played softball at Yankee Stadium with him there, that he hosted while he was in a wheelchair, and Michael was always a consummate professional. Absolutely, he was a fantastic actor. But honestly, I thought, and this is just the way I feel, he was probably more beautiful in that condition as a man, as a human being, than I will ever remember him as. His courage of coming out, bringing it into the story when he went on One Life to Live to do that.
Yes,
I had so much respect for him, and I was just really proud of him as an actor.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah,
I was so moved by it, and it was years later when I was on All My Children that his wife asked me to perform opposite Jerry Stiller, doing a staged reading. It was directed by Robert Downey Sr. on Broadway for the ALS Foundation, and I did that with Jerry Stiller, and that was an extraordinary experience, and it was in memory of Michael, and yeah, it was very special. But I will always remember Michael there at Yankee Stadium, there at home plate in his wheelchair, and how beautiful he looked in the throes of this terrible, debilitating disease. I will always remember him as that. Yeah.
Michael was a huge presence on the show as an actor, but what he became once he knew what he was dealing with, you all said it wonderfully. The courage and the strength that he showed was just mind-boggling. I don't know how he navigated it with the class and the courage that he did, but he found it somewhere.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
On Guiding Light, there were two people who never went up on their lines. Zaz was one of them, and Jordan Clark was the other one. They just never, ever. I worked with both of them for years, and I can't recall even one time they went up on their line. Yeah, every once in a while, Zaz would purposely go up on his lines because he was in a scene and they were going to buy it. This usually happened on a Friday, and so he'd stop and say, "I'm so dry, I can't think of anything. We're going to have to take it from the top." That was his way of, monitoring his work as it goes up. And, I did that a couple of times too, and it's a very valuable tool. I mean, if the scene is just laying there and it's and it's not going anywhere, and you know it's not any good, then go up. And then in those days, a lot of times they couldn't do pickups or anything. They'd have to take it from the top, and so I learned from
it.
him.
Always helped. It always helped to be grumbling a little bit too, because then you'd screw the audio track, and they could pick it up.
Or pick up the nearest paper sack, and the audio wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
The only thing I never
Vince,
heard
Grant,
Jordan Clark say.
What was that?
No, I was just going to say the only time I worked with Jordan extensively, he never went up either, but I never heard him say the phrase "I'm full."
I don't think it ever happened.
I don't think that ever happened.
Wow, it's funny. Yeah.
I dearly
Matt,
wish
you
I'd
were
been
gonna
on
ask
set
something?
when he was working with Larkin, and he pulled out the rib from his suit jacket pocket and started eating it in the middle of the scene.
Yeah, two people were mortified. It was Larkin, and then the wardrobe person who was on the floor. You got a greasy rib in your Armani suit.
That's great.
That's funny.
Wow.
Matt, you were going to ask something?
Vince, I was going to ask you and Grant. One of the storylines y'all had in the early years was the Lou Jack, Philip, and Beth storyline with you two and Judy. What are your memories of that triangle? You was a bad boy before you found out you was Spaulding.
Yeah. Well, I knew that I was the son. At least Lou Jack did. Nick didn't know that he was the son of Alexandra. But Lou Jack knew. He was a Lubanachek, but his mother was. But he always thought that she abandoned him as a kid. But my recollection, especially first coming on the show, the Beth and Philip coupling, super couple, at the time was so strong that when I first came on the show and my character started like inching into the relationship with Beth, I'd have people on the streets like reprimand me, come and stay away from Beth and Philip, things like that. They would, and it was like, for me, it was like a totally different experience. I had only done theater for 6 years. This is my first time on a national television show. And it was a little daunting to be standing at a red light and somebody like giving me this hostile look and then like say this really like I was a real person, Lou Jack, like, stay away from Beth and Philip. They belong together. I'm like, okay. The light turns green. I'm like, booking. I'm like, I just want to get the hell away from people. So I do remember that. It was very interesting to be working on my first TV show and have people like reprimanding me and screaming at me. Because they were very strong. They were a powerful couple at the time.
It's always weird when you jump in, the first time, because I hadn't been on that long before you came on, Vince, and you're absolutely right. It's such a there's like this cognitive dissonance between what your reality is and the reality of people that are watching the show. Because for them, it was like an alternative reality. I had one girl who thought that everything that I said to Beth, I was saying to her, and she showed up outside the studio one time. It was really, really strange. But as far as the story goes, we were really lucky. I mean, we were all young, and it was our first big gig, and everybody was really well cast, and the story was well written, and we were, you don't know it until you look back on it a lot of times, particularly when it's your first thing. But yeah, we had really strong writing and a strong cast and great direct. I mean, the show was really the shows back then were really well-oiled machines, and
absolutely,
I have nothing but good memories of it.
Was that basically the '80s, like the mid '80s, the end of the '80s, beginning of the '90s?
Early '80s, go through the middle.
That everybody talks about.
Yeah.
That was the golden age.
Zenith, I would say. Yeah, I would say it was like the zenith of daytime at that time. I mean, that was when they used to brag about that daytime was financing the nighttime shows. That's how successful it was. Yeah.
And
Crazy.
did Betty Ray cast in the 80s? I was
Yeah.
right at the tail end of Betty Ray. Thank
Yes.
goodness. What a wonder.
Loved Betty. Loved Betty.
Oh, yeah.
She was a
God.
brilliant casting director. I loved her.
Yep.
Yeah. My first audition, my only audition, coming on the show as a day player, because it was supposed to be 3 days work, was reading opposite Betty, and I had such a great time because I actually improvised with her in the scene, and it went really well. Obviously, I got the part, but she was right there with me and had a great time. And then after we did the scene, she said, "Well, just hold on for a second." She went out and got Gail Colby and said, "Let's do that again." And we did it again, and just improvised a little bit more in the scene. And it was actually a scene with Lou Jack following Mindy into the ladies' room and at the college, because my first scenes were at the college in the rec room with you guys, with Grant and Michael O'Leary and Judy Evans and and Chris Tessero. So the audition scene was me following her into the ladies' room and flirting with her, coming on to her. And I just literally walked up and laid down across Betty Ray's desk, took out a cigarette, lit it, offered her a cigarette, started working with her and doing the scene. And she just went with it, and we had the best time. It was great. I loved Betty.
Good story.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I went back to where I was starting that day. I had trailed at Joe Allen's to become a waiter there. I went to work at Joe Allen's, and when I got there, my agents called me on the phone at Joe Allen's. It was before cell phones, obviously, and it was behind the bar. And they handed me the phone before my shift, and they said, "You got the part." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I got the part." Yeah. And I told everybody at work, "Are you going to stay with it? Are you going to keep the job? Are you going to?" It's 3 days work. I'm not leaving, man. I'm just like, I got a 3-day gig. I'm happy. Now let's get to work as a waiter.
Yeah.
Waiting to get the hell out of waiting. That's what.
No, that's a great New York acting story, reality. Yeah.
It was fun. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, loved Betty though. She was awesome.
Well, Betty used to have a saying that she didn't. She didn't. She said, "I don't cast actors. I cast eyes."
Yes,
I believe
that. That's awesome.
And she also was very much into. She knew how people watched. A lot of people were, while the shows were on television, weren't necessarily looking at the TV all the time. They were ironing, they were doing something, they were cooking, So she was also a big believer in the show should have a variety of voices, particularly with the women. So she was always, a lot of times you'd see her when she was auditioning somebody or somebody was putting something down on tape, she'd be there with her eyes closed, and I knew she was listening to the show as if it were a radio.
Wow.
Yeah, when Betty was cast in our show, you would see actors on our show that you would see cast on other shows.
No, she personally took Phil Bosco off Broadway stages and just argued with him. You will like this.
Yes.
And it's like summer theater, Phil. And Phil in those days, he had all sorts of weird habits. He wouldn't go, below 14th Street.
He wouldn't go in the elevators, right?
Wouldn't go in the
He wouldn't go into elevators. Go beyond 20. I'm never going to do daytime soaps. But it was Betty who just, and Phil ended up loving it, and the audience loved every time Phil was on. And
great voice. Great voice.
We'll do the Betty Ray. Yeah.
I don't think I doubt I would have been cast on any other soap if it hadn't been for Betty. She in fact, I remember going in, I auditioned maybe twice before, and and never expecting anything. And then I think she just was interested in taking some chances, which I think I fell into that category. And it was so wonderful. And then to join the cast were so many wonderful actors. And when you talk about, I came from theater, working on the soap was such a great lesson in how to really hone your skill. I mean, probably more than anything else, the way you learn the lines overnight and then have to change them.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just was, what a gift that is as an actor, which I hadn't a clue of. So I'm really grateful to her. She was my lodestar.
I told Paul Roush this one time, and I said, you may not understand this, but I'm a better singer because of doing soaps, because you have to be in the moment so much and be so flexible to go with a change that it really tightened and it kicked me up a level in singing. It was a very good.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, it's interesting, Toby, you mentioned that about that she took a chance with you or saw something in you that you feel that other soaps would have seen in you. I felt the same way, honestly, because at the time when I was cast as Lou Jack, I wasn't a typical, chiseled, beautiful soap actor. I was a really scrawny, the sort of the prototypical starving actor. I mean, I was like a nose with fedora, I was very thin, and I was up against people like Grant, who was like, beautiful, chiseled, godlike guy with wall-to-wall muscles on his chest. And I'm like looking at him going, yeah, if you get in my way. And he could have easily just been like, get the hell out of here, you scrawny little thing. Yeah, but it was, Betty brought me on, and I definitely feel like I was not, I didn't look like everybody on the show at the time. I looked I honestly weighed about 40 pounds less than I weigh today. That's how thin I was. But I was grateful that she gave me that opportunity. She was awesome. She was awesome. Yeah.
And Michael Laibson too, I think, loved actors. I think that's the exec who brought me in, Michael Laibson. And I think he loved people with a certain, edge and experience on stage in particular. I think that's what I felt.
Is our host still with us? Matt, oh, there you are. Okay.
Yes, I'm still here. Just I'm just enjoying everything I'm hearing right now. I love this show, love you guys, and I'm always thrilled whenever I talk to you or hear somebody talking about their time on the show. So, like I said, this was a reunion. So
we just had a lot of good times.
Yeah, giving you guys the floor. Ron, Toby, Grant, you all was a part of the Alan Michael and Lucy Wetton at Universal Studios. What are your memories of that shooting down there?
That's when Grant came back.
Yeah.
Frankenstein. That's what I remember.
Yeah. A lot of great Frankenstein stories with Michael O'Leary.
The very best was me. They put me in a Frankenstein costume to come back, which I thought, this was a mistake. But down in Orlando, there were characters dressed in as all sorts of movie characters and animated characters roaming around the park, and I was in a Frankenstein costume, but there was another Frankenstein that was legitimately part of the park service, and Mikey thought it was me, and so he goes up and he starts dry humping this Frankenstein character. And a couple of guards come up to him and say, "Sir, please don't harass the characters."
That's funny, man. That's great.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Only Mikey.
Yeah. That's hysterical.
Wow.
I was very nervous that the day that you, because I had never met you, and I of course had known a lot about you from school. I entered the school McDonough in 1982, I guess, when you started. So I was incredibly nervous that first day that I met you, and I would say more maybe intimidated. And then it just it was so much fun though, being your brother, being your sister. You have such a strong presence on screen, Grant, but in person, in real life, you're such a teddy bear. You really are.
Toby, if you were intimidated, you surely did not show it, because from the moment I worked with you, I thought, camera is just eating her alive, because you are loaded with presence, and you were always a
hair.
joy.
I remember your hair, Toby. Your hair is incredible.
It's still. Well,
and I would be the one jealous of that, but
gray now.
Yeah, join the club.
Thank you, Grant.
No, you were wonderful. It was too brief.
Yes, too brief.
Yeah. So
well,
what do you think?
Guys, I hate the party will pick up now, but I've got to exit. But it's great seeing you guys, Vince. Yeah.
Yeah. Same here, brother.
Always.
It's great.
Ron.
Last time I saw you was
Grant and
I went to see you in the play, right? What was the play that I went to see you?
I don't know. Follies, maybe.
What was it?
Was it Follies?
Yes, it was here in Los Angeles.
Yes.
That was beautiful, man. That was about 6-7 years ago, probably. Yeah.
It's great seeing you guys.
Yeah,
I love it. I love you guys.
Send love to you.
Glad you were in my
Ronnie.
Yes,
and I'll try to figure out how to get out of here.
I'm going to be leaving too, but it was great seeing everybody. Matt, thank you for inviting me. Grant, good seeing you again. And Jerry,
Matt, you're terrific.
Nice meeting you, Toby.
Yes.
You take care.
Great seeing all you guys.
Bye, Jerry.
Everybody be
well.
Later.
See you guys. Thanks for coming aboard.
Thank you, Matt.
Now we can talk about it,
right? Sure. Yeah. Because Jerry and Toby, you two had a really interesting little love thing. Because when she came back as Amanda, you was with Blake, and then she seduced you a bit there. She wanted to win you back. I mean, I don't know what the audience was thinking, if Ross was going to get back with Amanda or what there, and then Blake ended up pregnant with the twins.
That was a fun storyline.
Yeah, it was a fun storyline. But the character of Amanda, when I first came on the show, she had seen Kathleen Cullen. She had scenes with rhododendrons. They had her talking to plants, and it was.
Oh, really?
And one day she said, "I just can't do this anymore," because they had her going slightly left of center, and
It was an Ophelia complex.
Yeah, it's an Ophelia complex, and she was talking to growing plants.
Well, I think one of the first scenes I did was with Ross, and it might have been the first one, I can't recall, but early on was when I came into Ross's office and disrobed this big fur coat I was wearing, and which was also talking about nerves, and that was sort of trial by fire. But Jerry, you were just, nobody could ask for a greater gift than working with you. I mean, you mentioned people never going up on their lines. I never remember you spacing on a line for an instant. Just wow, what a gift it was working with you and Liz.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Liz was. You two were a happy couple because they were in trouble, Matt, because they had such a good time together that it was almost a crime to call it a job. And,
That's true.
And Kiefer was so happy, and Toby was so happy, and I was so happy because they were happy. And we had good story too. That also makes things a little easier. And our stable of directors were good at the time, and you can't ask for much more than that.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always said, and the fans say it too all the time, the 80s and the 90s were probably the best time for soaps, especially Guiding Light, because you guys, the show was born on so many great people, including you guys. So many great stories were told over the years. And, who knew that, in 2009 it was going to end? I think Guiding Light would have still been on today, outriding everything else, even through this COVID. Yeah.
That would have been nice.
That the business changed so much. I mean, I started, there was Channel 2 4, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 21. And that was it. And when I left, there were over 500 opportunities to watch television. So the audience just got more niche audiences. Like on Fridays and Mondays, we used to draw 10 million people working. That's the National Football League is happy when they get those numbers. But gradually, everything got eaten away, and soap just got too expensive to do.
Yeah.
Jerry, can I ask real fast, Jerry, what's up in your life right now? How are you and your family? What's your life like?
Well, thank God for Zoom, because I get to see the grandkids. I've got 2 grandkids from, let's see, my oldest lives in Rhode Island. They've got a boy and a girl. Then my youngest son lives in Florida, and they have a little girl. So it's been kind of frustrating, but thank God for technology. So it makes it a little better. It's certainly much better than just talking on the phone. But I'm waiting to get released from pandemonium. And I just got vaccinated. I'm going to get my second vaccination in late February. So I'm hoping this year, well, it couldn't be worse than last year, but this year will show marked improvements in all sorts of areas.
Yeah.
And I had no side effects on the vaccine.
Cool.
I didn't get a chance to ask the others this, but where do you think your characters would be at right now in this year? What are they doing right now in Springfield?
Toby?
I think Amanda would have eventually created. I think she would have been a casino magnate in perhaps not Malibu but Monaco. I think she would have gone European and opened casinos and had big shows and been sort of the grande dame of I'm thinking Monaco.
I can see you doing that, yeah. I would be much more sedate, I think Ross and Blake would have grandchildren by now and be pretty much what I am. Except Kiefer would always have something on the side, that little rascal.
I'd have to invite. Maybe we'd have a truce, and I'd invite Blake over to perform, because Liz is such an amazing performer and singer. I remember watching her perform when I first joined the soap. She performed "It's Raining Men," and I was blown away by her talent.
Yeah, not many people know that she can carry a tune
really well.
At one of those guiding light gatherings that we used to have every year, there was one time when I got Liz and Ron to sing together. It was amazing.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Man, I enjoyed talking with you guys today. I know I talked with y'all before. This was my first time talking to Vince, but I enjoyed talking with you guys again. I'm going to email them to let them know, but I'll let you two know right now too. I sent everybody an email mentioning that I did this big movie documentary about the Guiding Light. It's finally near its completion, and I'm going to have it out sometime next month. And I'm trying to host like a premiere party. If it's going to be on YouTube or Vimeo, so I will send you guys an email so y'all can check it out. It's kind of long. It's 3 hours long a bit because the show had a lot of history. But I hope you guys will check it out and will like it.
Congratulations, completing. That's a real feat. Congrats and
good work, Matt. All right, bye, Matt. Bye, Toby.
Great to see you, Jerry.
Good to see you too.
Thank you, Matt.
No problem, Toby. I gotta tell you, I hope Amanda, if she's not running a casino, I could see her maybe running for mayor, because if she can get us or anybody, I loved Amanda. She was something else, you know.
Thank you. I loved her too. She was fun. She was so different from me, and that's the best. Well, thank you, Matt. Happy New Year, and yeah, congrats, and yeah, give me that info and all the best.
I sure will. I'm going to link everybody one day next month. I wanted to have it done early in advance because I was trying to submit it to the Maryland Film Festival, but I ran out of time and my computer had problems, so I couldn't finish in time. But I'm gonna submit it to other places and see what happens. But yeah, I definitely want to get y'all on board to check it out. Hopefully y'all like it. It is 3 hours long because you know the show had a lot of history, but I enjoyed working on it and talking with everybody as well. I really enjoyed it.
I'll bet. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. And see you next time.
See you next time. Be safe.
You too. Thank you, Matt. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Go Baltimore.
Ravens Nation. Well, guys, thanks again for tuning in. I don't know if anybody on Facebook was watching. I didn't say nothing on Facebook, but I did on YouTube. I did a documentary about the Guiding Light. I've been a fan of the show since I was in 3rd grade back in 2000, and I've done some short films since college and recently, and I put together a movie about the show. I'll have it out probably sometime next month, and with a premiere party, hopefully. If you're not able to make it that day, those who's watching, it will be out, so you will be able to watch it. But thanks again for those who's been watching for many years. This is my last show. Probably sometime next month as well, I'll be starting a brand new podcast show. It's going to be a little different than this one. I won't be having my Ranger hat on. Vince, Ron, Grant, Toby, Jerry, you know, I'm sure y'all are gone, but thanks for coming on board today. Thank you, fans, for watching. My other channel, Soaps Pass, will still be going. I'm going to be uploading more Guiding Light stuff, more Guiding Light episodes to come, and therefore. And thank you guys who has been watching. It's been a blast doing this. And until next time, I will be in touch. Y'all be safe, stay blessed, and hallelujah. See you guys. Thanks for watching.